Today I'm going to talk about responsive design. So I'm going to talk about CSS3 media queries. So if this doesn't get your dig hard, I don't know what will. Here I have a simple website, and when you resize it, the CSS3 media queries work in the gear, and it adapts to whatever device you're on. And it changes the layout just using plain CSS3. So this would work on a mobile phone. This would be like an iPad or something. And this is your regular website. You can do that all with CSS3. So let's go about how I did that. Alright, the first thing I'm going to talk about is my HTML. So if you wanted to recreate this simple little website, most likely not, you're going to have your own website to design, but if you want to just test it out and follow along with me, the first thing that I might have different is this viewport. If you don't know what that is, it renders text right on mobile phones, so it looks crisp and better. Google if you don't know what it is. And then the other thing is this script tag. So all you have to do is Google code media queries and get that code, and what that does is if it's lower than IE9, use that script code, which means these media queries won't work on Internet Explorer 6, 7, and 8. So if you want to support Internet Explorer, use that. Internet Explorer is pretty much a dump. And here I have a header. Get both sides here. So my header is just a logo here. It's just my awesome site. Then I have a nav, and that's this guy. And I have some breathing room, just a clear div, which is just a width of or a height of 40 pixels or something. Just give it some breathing room. And I have an image, and that's floating left on these paragraph and H2 tag. So it's just chilling there. And then I have some more breathing room, which right here. And if you don't care about this HTML part, you can just skip ahead to the CS3 part. Skip ahead a few minutes. So then I have these three sections, and I have an H3, which is this thing, and I have a figure, which is a semantic code for HTML5. Instead of using divs all the time, it actually tells the browser what this is. So this section could be a div. It's pretty much the same thing. If you don't want to use it, you can use a div. If you don't know what section is, then just Google it. HTML5 tags, and then here's a figure, which is something you would use for a picture and a caption. So I have a figure and a fig caption. If you don't use that, you could use a div and a paragraph tag. Doesn't matter, it's up to you. But I have an image here, H3 image, and some paragraph text, and I times that by 3. So there's my first box, second box, third box, and I float all of them left, and there you go. And then I got some more breathing room right here. And then I got my footer. Plain and simple. Let's move to the CSS3 part. Okay. So if you want to copy the CSS, it's up to you. Just pause the video and copy that. You don't have to. This is just my layout. Your layout's going to be different. So, alright. So how to start one? Type in at media screen and let's put max width 900 pixels, and then it's kind of like a function. Kind of picture it like if you do any JavaScript or jQuery or PHP, this is kind of like a function right here. So then you open up this bracket, and inside here we're just going to change the layout of it. So in here, the main things I'm going to change and worry about is my wrapper, which is my whole container. I don't have to worry about my nav because my nav doesn't have a set width to it. These anchors are a displayed block, so they just have a fluid width, like they'll adapt to anything. There's no width, so I don't have to worry about that. What I do have to worry about is everything that has a width on it. So this banner paragraph tag, like this is my banner, whole section div banner, And then this is my paragraph tag. That has a set width, so I need that. I need to change this. I'm going to need to change my image. My image is right here. It has a set width too. And I need to change that width. And then I have these 3 sections down here. So I need to change that width too. And that's everything that I got. My footer doesn't have a set width. It adapts to whatever. Okay. So here's my banner P. I copy pasted. The other thing we need is a banner image. I need to change that width. And I also need to change my wrapper. And that's not a sexual joke. And then we have a content. Inside my content I have a section. I believe that's right. Let's go in my HTML code. So I have my section is called content. So I have a section inside of another section. This is my first box. First box. So my content has an ID. Okay, so ID section, and this has a width to it. So that is right. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is save that. Maybe you can test it out. Put a background color, aqua, something stupid. And so when you resize this browser less than, let's not do 900. Let's do oh no, that should work. Let's do 960 because that's what my width is right now. So if I resize any lower than this white area right here, then the background color should change to aqua. Let me refresh the page. And it did. So that's how you set your width, and that might be the only thing you need to know. Like, you can go to town on this. So there's your max width. You learned everything you need to do. All you have to do is change the back or everything, like the widths and whatever, the layout. But I'll go into more detail here. So let's go. Let's change the width. So maybe like you could change the width to 700. Okay, so now I just change the width of the whole layout. Kind of ruins some stuff. Nothing we can't fix. But maybe we don't want to do so it just jumps like that. Maybe we don't want to do that. I think it's a lot better to do percentages, make it fluid, so it adapts to any device. Because there's like thousands of devices, whether it's an iPad or mobile phones. And then let's go to, or let's change, let's say 90%. I'd either go for like 95%, but I have a 20% padding around, so 20% padding all around here. If I didn't have that, then I could probably do 95%. But see, this adapts to whatever. So now I need to change my this picture and this paragraph tag to a different width too, preferably a percentage. So actually, so far I have a pretty decently mobile site almost. And I didn't even really do anything. I mean, at least it's not perfect, but it would work on your mobile phone. Okay, so now let's change your banner paragraph and our banner image, which is my banner image, my banner paragraph, and my H3 possibly. So my paragraph, like these are both pretty settled to 50%. So this is like 50% of the page, and this is 50% of the page. So let's try that out. That's most likely not going to work because I have margin in here and padding on the outsides. So we'll see how that screws up. Resize the browser. Not quite. It doesn't fit, so it's going down below the picture. Let's make it so it fits. Let's try 48% and 49%. And it works fluidly. Awesome. It kind of screws it down here, but it works perfectly fine right here, and that's kind of what we need. Let's also fix these guys. And there's 3 of them there. So mathematically it should be 33.3% for each one of them, and that would give up to almost 100%. But there's margin in between here, so you have to take that into account. So it's not going to be 33. Let's go with like 28% or something. 28%, and you have to take in fact the margin on the right side there. So let's go with, on the left side, let's go with the margin 0.02%. And I have padding around this too. So let's go with 2%. Resize that, and you get a pretty, it's pretty good. Besides, you would never want to read something that small, so maybe we should throw in another media query whenever it breaks right here. So maybe like right here, wherever this text goes over, whatever this width is, we kind of want that to change again. So maybe we'll just do another media query. So at media screen, and do our function here, and we'll do another max width. I don't know, 700 pixels. And we're just going to copy everything we got here. Alright, so now we got our media screen for 700 pixels, so we'll probably keep that the same, and we'll change our banner P, just paragraph tag, to 100% instead, and we'll add a clear both. So instead of floating left, we're going to clear both on everything. We're just going to change the layout of it. Change this to 100% too, because we want it to take up the whole window. This section can take up almost all of the window. We'll say 95% because we have this margin here. We'll say margin 0 for now because I don't know what to change it to. So we'll see how that looks. So now we got our image 100% and our tag 100%. So let's test out what we got. So we have a set width for any size browser. All the way, it doesn't matter. Then when you go to 960 pixels, it changes right now. And then it's a little bit fluid. It adapts to whatever device you're on. And then we get smaller, and then it goes to big picture. So this might be a high resolution iPhone 4 or something. And these pictures are really distorted. They're kind of, I mean, you can make a custom picture in Photoshop for, I don't know, you can do a different picture there, but we're not. Let's just go with inside of our content section we have an image. Correct. Inside of our content we have another section. Inside that section we have an image. You could even go further and say inside of our figure, inside of our image. We're not going to do that. I'm just going to say image, and we're just going to display none. So if you had another image to replace there, you could actually copy this and put like image 5, or I just have it called image 5, but you could put for mobile. So you could display so if you want to substitute pictures, you could put image, let's see here, give this an image ID of mobile, and this an image ID of default. So then you could hide your default and then display your other image. Or if you wanted to hide your default. So you just go back and forth. I don't have an actual I don't have this picture, but hopefully you get that idea. On the regular desktop, you would hide it one, and on the mobile, you would display the other, hide one and display the other. So that's one way you could, if you wanted to substitute pictures. But I'm not. I'm actually just going to get rid of the whole picture totally. So we got rid of that ugly picture there, and let's add some margin because these are fucking each other here. So let's do 40 pixels on top. Looks pretty. And we're almost done. We really wasn't even that hard. This is a pretty simple layout though, but and let's change maybe you want to change up the font size because these are resize the nav pretty small. These are kind of humping each other too. We don't like that. We don't like navs humping each other. Let's target our nav. Let's see how to target a nav up here. So I have let's go over my nav. I have a nav semantic code for HTML5. That's cool. So inside I just have a UL called nav, and then I have an LIA. So I just copy that. Or whatever has the width on, or the font size on it, which my anchors do. It has a font size. So we'll change the font size to 1.5. I don't even know what it is now. And it shrunk pretty good. So when we resize it this small, we also want to get rid of some of that padding that I have to it, I think. Yes, I have padding right here. So we'll get rid of, let's do 10 pixels, see how that looks. Looks pretty good. And then we have this huge logo. Let's get rid of that guy. And that is an H1 anchor. I have an H1, and inside that I have an anchor, so you can actually click on this. So let's change that font size to 3 EMs. I don't know what it was now, but it looks better. It was 4 EMs. And if you want to see that code, then I just have an H1 with an anchor inside of it. And that's my logo. And that looks better. And we're done. That's all I'm going to do. One more thing that I wanted to go over is right here we just have a max width. It's kind of better so to include a min width also. So it gives a set range of when to do this responsiveness. So sometimes, like if we actually had like font sizes and other stuff, it might get confused. So it might inherit this, for instance, it's not here, but it might inherit this 90% here, but this max width also is 700, so it might inherit this too, so it might do it twice. So for best practice, I would do this. So I would add a min width also, and let's just say like this is 700, so just say 701. So it knows exactly when to do this. And it will work the exact same, but it's better to be more specific and it will work better. You now have a functional website for mobile and any kind of tablet. And if you want to get more in depth with this, first I'll show you an example of a recent project that I've done. And it's called Kick-Ass Humor. It's a joke website. Check it out for yourself, kickass-humor.com. And I made this mobile also. So I have an ad up here. Basically I just changed the layout, clear both, and this would be the iPad view. It's fluid. And then this would be when you turn your phone over, like turn your Android or iPhone to its side, landscape mode. And then this would be your regular portrait mode. So for other great examples, you could go to, I know I got some media queries. There's actually a media queries website, mediaquery.es, and it shows a great example of lots of websites using this. I would strongly recommend to check it out. Look at some of their code and see how they do it. Like, they have 4 different layouts. So for large, mobile, tablets, do everything. And also there's lots of articles. I would recommend going to, my favorite would be Smashing Magazine, and just typing in responsive design and just looking at everything they have. You can learn so much. There's so much more than what I just showed you, but I would recommend looking at this and reading an article. But thanks. That's how you do responsive design these days. So later, nerds.